Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Somna Sambo. Next is the tariff hike by telecoms companies and the multiplier effects on Nigerian banks that have jacked up the cost of SMS transaction alerts to their customers by about 50%. Now, Fidelity Bank, in a message sent to its customers, said the adjustment is necessary to ensure it continues delivering secure, timely, and reliable transaction notifications to customers. At the receiving end are customers and stakeholders who have expressed concerns over commercial banks' SMS transaction alert charge increment. Apart from the bank, many other banks have also forwarded a similar announcement of the increment via messages sent to their customers. Now, the increase in bank SMS charges took effect on the 1st of May. Well, to help us understand the economic and financial implications of the tariff and SMS hikes, we have with us in the studio a seasoned economic expert, Dr. Akin Ogunshola, who is right here in the Abuja studio with us. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And in the Lagos studio, I'm being joined by development and financial economist, Bolahon Olojede. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's start with you, Dr. Akin Ogunshola.
Nice to be here.
Yes. So, what exactly does this mean for Nigerians who are banking and are having, some of these charges imposed on them every now and then? In the face of the economic inclusion that we have been saying over the years, that we want to have more people who own bank accounts, and then we're having these bank charges here and there. I mean, isn't it going to discourage people from banking?
All right, thank you very much for having me once again. For the SMS alert charge, I think we just need to create awareness that there's an alternative to SMS alert fee. And I think even the banks are also creating that awareness, because the cost is not to be borne by the banks, it's to be borne by the customers as a result of the general increase in tariff by the telcos in Nigeria. So the telecommunications company have decided that, okay, because power has become more expensive and the high cost of running business is also high, there's need for them to increase the cost of phone calls, data, and other, services that they deliver. So as a result of that, it affected the SMS alert charge as well, 50% increase. But there's an alternative to that. It's not compulsory that one must receive SMS alert. There's an alternative of email alert. So email alert is free. You don't get to pay for receiving email alerts. So customers can decide to disable SMS alert if they don't really want it, because both the SMS alert and the email alert, they come in almost the same minute. So possibly there might be no need to continue to get SMS alert.
All right.
Can go for the email alert.
All right, Olojede, talk to us about the issue of financial inclusion. If we say we want more people to be in the banking, circle, to have more bank accounts, and then, of course, more women, more youths, and all of that, and then all of this keep happening, people being, faced with several charges, one charge or the other, and all of that. Wouldn't this discourage, those unbanked people who want to bank?
Well, I don't think it's significant enough to make that, to have that effect that you spoke about. So I look at let's say the lowest rung of the ladder. So the question is, how many transactions go through their bank account in a day? So maybe one, maybe two. So if 2 transactions go through the account on a daily basis, so you're going to be paying an additional 4 naira. The kind of, we're trying to bring people out of poverty, try to moderate costs, but the kind of costs we are after, the kind of burden we have to chase, is not a 2 naira or a 4 naira issue. We have to think bigger so that we can actually make an impact if we're trying to pull people out of poverty or encourage them to consume banking services. Where we might have a bit more impact will be people who are into retail business, and they receive a whole lot of transactions pass through their account in a day. The reality is that even for this, for this stratum of the market, they value this SMS alert And I'm not convinced that the additional 2 naira will probably make them want to say, no, I don't want to see alert again, SMS alert again. I'll rather stick with the email. So effectively, the impact of an additional 2 naira is not significant enough to dissuade the driving of financial inclusion if we explain it to people, especially the people who might not know why this is happening, to say, look, this is the reality. And there is indeed a lot of value in being able to receive SMS alert. And like the former speaker said, if you don't want it, maybe you can opt out of it. We were in this country when there were no SMS alert. Just that it is no longer safe. In fact, part of what we need to sell to people we are trying to bring into that segment of bank is to say, look, you're going to be more safe if you receive this alert. You will be on top of what is going on in your account. So it could be sold as something that will support them and for which value has been created, and they will be okay to pay an additional 2 naira.
All right, sir. So, Lojede, at the heart of this conversation is the issue of excessive bank charges relative to Nigeria. And there's a comedian, his name is AY, who recently wrote, and I want to quote for you, he said, where do banks get the trillions they declare as profits every quarter, even in a struggling economy? The small charges and debits on our accounts need to be challenged. Many of these fees are unique to Nigeria. Why is that? And so even those who shouldn't feel the heat are saying that, look, these charges are coming in different forms, and before you know it, it's becoming substantial. And the banks are smiling to the bank, while those banking with the banks are complaining that they are losing some monies that at the end of the year, when you put it together, it's something quite substantial.
Well, this is where the regulator comes in. I know that CBN has been doing a bit in that direction, encouraging people to make direct complaint to them about issues regarding charges. There is also a document called the Banker's Tariff. It is good enough for people, at least the literate people, to familiarize themselves with this Banker's Tariff, so that if a bank is charging you out of the allowed tariff, you can make a complaint and you can make a case and you will get back your money. It's also important to analyze the financials of the bank. And what we're going to find is that most of this profit, the primary business, of course, is to create loans. So I don't think that is where most of the charges are coming from. And if there are charges coming from there, if you have procured a loan from a bank, you should check the charges you are receiving to ensure that it aligns with the offer letter that you have signed. And where there are discrepancies, make a case with your bank or make a case with the CBN. But of course, start with your bank. So it's a space for the regulators to step in and help us to sanitize. At the same time, it's a place where we need to drive the consciousness that there are documents like Banker's Tariff that guide what a bank should charge for a particular service. And
Dr. Ogunsola, how do you react to this? Because people keep saying that in other jurisdictions, some of these charges do not apply so much. People who own bank accounts in other countries keep saying that they don't get some of these charges every now and then, including this SMS we're talking about. So why is that of Nigeria particularly peculiar?
Well, I think it's something of concern. I also happen to be an expert on excess bank charges reconciliation and recovery for some of my clients, and we've discovered that there are some tricks, in these bank charges, particularly talking about there is commission on turnover for every transaction, that is 50 naira, and then VAT inclusive for transactions more than I think more than 10,000 naira, more than 20,000 naira or so. Then there is, a commission on turnover for, 10,000 naira less, then 20,000 to 50,000 naira. Now, after this commission on turnover, there is what they call account maintenance fee that they charge every month. And the fee is charged that for every 1,000 naira that is debited on your account, the bank takes 1 naira. Now, there is also a debit, that same debit that they want to charge on, they have taken commission on turnover. So it's not like a double charges, on that customer. For example, if you do a transaction of 10,000 naira in a month, and they will charge you COT of, let's say, I think it's about 20-something naira plus the VAT. At the end of the month, they will still charge another 100 naira for account maintenance fee, which is now looking too much. In other climes, talking about, for example, Kenya, there is a bank that is even using it as an advert, that come and open an account with us, and account maintenance fee free, no charges.
Interesting.
Customers will just, move into such banks. So we want to call on the regulators, the CBN, to see how to possibly erode this account maintenance fee, or possibly looking at unifying the charges so that it's going to come once instead of putting various levels of charges on customers.
All right, could this also have driven some people into embracing like new forms of banking, like Islamic banking, that has to do with ethical issues and all of that?
Oh yes, that's what is driving people also into the fintech, because some of this account maintenance fee, many customers have complained that what is account maintenance fee after charging me COT plus VAT, on the same transaction. So that is driving them to the fintech and other forms of banking. All
right, and I bring you back, Olojede. Let's talk about what could be the best practices. I mean, looking at other jurisdictions, what should be the best practice for Nigeria in terms of this to reduce this, and so as not to actually have people feeling that it's better for them to keep their monies at home? Because even within some Western countries, I've had some friends actually tell me that they prefer to be given cash than to be paid money for transactions through the banking system. Because, when their monies go through the banking system, they don't get it exactly at the same amount that they would get if it's cash.
Well, we have to be careful about copy and paste, that this is the way it works in America, and therefore this is the way it ought to work in Nigeria. At the same time, we must ensure, at least this is a duty of government or its representatives via the regulators, to ensure that the consuming populace are not being fleeced by operators of the system. So my take will be that, look, we can sit down, and there are forums, there are platforms for having this discussion. One of it is the Bankers Committee, where CBN is part of all those discussions, and the CEOs of the banks or their representatives are also part of that discussion. We can have sessions involving all stakeholders where we bring all these issues up, and we are able to understand it better. We're able to table the grievances and arrive at win-win solutions to this matter. I always don't want us to take, this is how it is there, therefore let's copy it. I remember when I was in telecoms and we're trying to compare certain costs, and somebody says, in my country where the cost is better, nobody harasses you for bringing fuel to your tower. Maybe you don't even have to bring fuel to your towers in those kind of countries. But here, there are peculiarities to our cost profile, cost of doing business in Nigeria. We need to consider that, but we must ensure that people are not being fleeced. And to champion that part is the government through its regulators. There are platforms. So let's exploit those platforms to bring all these issues up and settle the grievances in a win-win situation.
As we try to round off this conversation, Dr. Akin Ogunshola, talk to us about the regulators. Is the CBN or the NCC, are they really overwhelmed by some of these issues that it becomes pretty much difficult to regulate the appetite of some of these banks to actually, want to increase all these, charges in one way or the other? Oh,
well, I don't think the CBN, the regulator, cannot be overwhelmed. They are capable to actually regulate and see through to customers, Nigerians, enjoying, corporate services that is optimal and, devoid of cheating of customers and excessive bank charges. So they are not overwhelmed, but possibly customers, and thank God for this avenue, customers need to continue to let them know the challenges that they face and how this can be curbed. Yes, CBN always say report to us anytime you have excessive charges and all that. but not all customers can reach out to CBN, at the same time.
Yeah, but in this instance, what should the NCC, for example, be doing to protect, consumers who have to pay extra because of this? You had offered a way out earlier that you could actually subscribe to email, but it would be interesting to know that a lot of Nigerians also don't have email addresses, or they just open it just because the banks are asking for it, and after that, they hardly check their emails.
Yes, for those that cannot check that doesn't have email, possibly those that don't have Android phones and close to technology, they will have to continue to, visit the bank to get bank statements and see, what's happening. But they need those SMS alerts. So if they can afford to just overlook the 2 Naira increase and continue to enjoy the service so that they can use it to monitor their transaction, that will be fine for them.
Right.
But there's a benefit of get an email and you will be free of these charges. So they will also work towards getting an email.
All right, Olojede, I'll ask you the same question just before I let us go. Any room for the regulator? Are they overwhelmed? What should the NCC do? In the face of this bank alert charge increase? What should the NCC be doing alongside the CBN?
NCC has approved the increase in tariff by 50%. This is just an implementation of an approval by NCC. So as far as that particular charge is concerned, I don't think there's anything the NCC can do unless it wants to offer to take that bit and pay it to the service provider, which is not impossible. One of the banks that I use sent me a message and said, we're going to bear that cost for a bit. So maybe they will bear it for 1 month, for 2 months, I don't know. So you might have other banks also who may want to do it as some sort of CSR for the people around this time when the economy is booting, and say, look, that is my own contribution. I will carry that burden for you for a while. Government, as part of its own direct intervention, might also want to do it. I doubt, though, because we are gradually, doing away with issues of subsidies. So the bottom line is somebody has to pay it. It is either the telecoms companies are willing to absorb it. NCC, the regulator, might say, I have this huge wallet, I want to absorb it. But the easiest path is that the customers will have to bear it. In this particular case, NCC has done its bit by approving.
All right, we must thank you so much, Gbolahan Olojide, for this fantastic submission here. And that's actually a very good place to leave it. And we must thank you so much, Dr. Akin Ogunshola. Both of you are economists, and you've helped us to understand the issues related to this bank alert charges and other charges. And we just hope that the system continues to get better for everyone. And of course, financial inclusion is the ultimate goal for Nigeria, to have more people banking. And of course, we must thank you for your immense wealth of knowledge.